The large screen in NASA's mission control lit up with strange patterns no one had ever seen before. It was 2057, and humanity had been sending signals into space for decades. Now, finally, someone had answered. Commander Jack Ellis leaned forward, his weathered face illuminated by the blue glow of the screen. "Are we certain this is not some kind of natural phenomenon?" he asked, his voice steady despite the tension in the room. Dr. Lisa Moore shook her head, her fingers flying over the keyboard. No natural phenomenon would create this kind of organized pattern. "This is a message, Jack. First contact." Within hours, the International Space Coalition assembled its top scientists and military personnel. As the world leaders debated their response, Jack and Lisa worked tirelessly to decode the message. "Its coordinates," Lisa said on the third day, pushing a cup of cold coffee aside. "And a time. They want to meet us." 1 week later, humanity watched in awe as a sleek, silver vessel appeared just beyond the moon's orbit. It made no aggressive moves, simply waiting as Earth sent its own representative shuttle. Jack commanded the small craft, with Lisa beside him as their chief scientific advisor. "Remember, we represent all of Earth today," he reminded the nervous crew. "Let's make a good first impression." The alien ship dwarfed their shuttle. A beam of light guided them into a vast docking bay where the air, surprisingly, was breathable. "Welcome, humans," came a voice from a tall, slender being with blue-tinted skin. "I am Ambassador Sorlak of the Centurion Federation, representative of the Galactic Council." Jack stepped forward. "Commander Jack Ellis of Earth, we are honored to meet you." The meeting room was elegant, with a large table made from a material that seemed to shift colors with the light. Ambassador Sorlak introduced other aliens, representatives from various council species. They explained that humanity had been monitored since their first radio transmissions. "Your species has great potential," Sorlak said. "We wish to invite Earth to join our alliance of worlds. This treaty would bring your people technology, protection, and access to thousands of inhabited worlds." Lisa studied the translated document on her tablet. Her brow furrowed as she read deeper into the text. She leaned close to Jack. "Something's wrong," she whispered. "The fine print classifies Earth as a protectorate with limited self-governance." Jack kept his expression neutral as he addressed the council members. "We appreciate this generous offer. However, we need time to consult with our leaders." Sorlak's upper eye ridges twitched. "Of course, it is merely a formality. All new species sign this treaty." That night, on the return shuttle, Lisa showed Jack what she had found. This treaty would give them control of our resources, limit our military development, and even allow them to relocate humans if necessary. Jack's jaw tightened. They expected us to sign without reading the details. Back on Earth, world leaders gathered in an emergency session. The treaty was analyzed word by word, revealing numerous concerning clauses. After heated debate, they reached an unanimous decision. 3 days later, Jack and Lisa returned to the alien vessel. Ambassador Sorlak seemed confident as they entered the meeting room. "We have reviewed your treaty," Jack said, standing tall. "Earth respectfully declines your current terms. We propose revisions that would recognize our full sovereignty." A shocked silence filled the room. The council representatives exchanged glances, their alien features showing various forms of surprise and alarm. "Declined," Sorlak repeated, as if unfamiliar with the concept. "No species has ever. This is most irregular. We wish to join the galactic community as equals," Lisa explained, "not as subordinates." "We will relay your response to the full council," Sorlak said, clearly unsettled. "This is unprecedented." As the Earth shuttle departed, Jack watched the alien vessel through the viewport. "Did you see their reactions?" he asked Lisa. "Yes," she replied. "They weren't just surprised. They were afraid." Jack nodded slowly. "The question is, what exactly are they afraid of?" As Earth's leaders prepared for future negotiations, no one realized they had just set in motion events that would shake the foundations of galactic politics. Humanity had done something no species had dared in thousands of years. They had said no to the Galactic Council, and the stars would never be the same. 6 months had passed since humanity's rejection of the treaty. On the distant planet Nexus, the gleaming towers of the Galactic Council headquarters rose like crystal spears against a purple sky. High Counselor Vreenak paced the circular chamber, his long robes sweeping the polished floor. The full council sat in tiered seats, representatives from 30 ruling species watching with various expressions of concern. "This situation is unprecedented," Vreenak said, his voice echoing. "No species has rejected our integration treaty in over 4,000 years of council history." A Medusan representative waved its tentacles. "Perhaps we simply failed to explain the benefits clearly enough." "Or perhaps," said a stone-skinned Thalkordian, "these humans are more perceptive than we anticipated." Ben Carter kept his face neutral as he listened from the back of the public gallery. As an intelligence officer working at Earth's newly established embassy on Nexus, his job was to gather information, not draw attention. The debate continued for hours as council members argued about how to handle Earth. Later that day, Ben slipped into the Great Archives, a vast repository of council records. He had limited access as an Earth representative, but it was enough to discover disturbing truths. Planet after planet classified as protectorates had been systematically stripped of resources. Indigenous cultures had been suppressed for being destabilizing. He copied as much data as he could without triggering security protocols. Meanwhile, back on Earth, analyst Samantha Wright stared at satellite images on her screen. "There," she pointed, showing Commander Ellis the evidence. "These objects appeared in Earth orbit 3 weeks ago. They're not debris or asteroids. Their movements are too precise." Jack Ellis studied the images. "Surveillance satellites." "Yes, sir. And they're using technology that makes them nearly invisible to our standard detection systems." Ellis's expression hardened. "So much for open diplomacy. Who placed them?" "The energy signatures match Centaurian technology, but I can't be certain." Ellis made a decision. "Establish a special task force. I want our best people monitoring all extraterrestrial activity near Earth, and keep this quiet. We don't want to cause panic." Samantha nodded. "What about our own space capabilities?" "Accelerate everything. If the Council is watching us, let's give them something to think about." On Nexus, Ben Carter entered a dimly lit establishment frequented by lower-ranking Council staff. He had discovered that alcohol affected most alien species much like it affected humans. It loosened tongues. A 4-armed clerk from the diplomatic corps was already 3 drinks in when Ben joined him, Earth's rejection still causing problems. Ben asked casually. The clerk's secondary eyes blinked slowly. "You have no idea. The founders are actually afraid." Ben kept his surprise hidden. "Afraid? Of Earth? We're barely space-capable by your standards." "It's not about technology." The clerk leaned closer. "It's about compliance. The system works because everyone complies. Your people questioned. Your people refused. Now others might get ideas." Before Ben could learn more, a message from Earth arrived on his secure communicator. The Council had voted to send a second delegation to Earth with a revised treaty. Ben immediately transmitted the intelligence he had gathered. Earth needed to prepare. When the message reached Earth, Ellis called an emergency meeting. "The Council isn't used to being told no," he explained to the assembled leaders. "They're coming back with a new approach." "Should we be concerned?" asked the Secretary General. Samantha Wright displayed the data Ben had sent. Every species that initially resisted was eventually brought under Council control, one way or another. "Then we need to be ready," Ellis said. "If they're sending a new treaty, they're also preparing other options." As the meeting ended, Ellis looked out the window at the night sky. Somewhere up there, Council ships were already on their way to Earth. "They think we'll be an easy conquest," he murmured. They have no idea what they're dealing with. Across Earth, preparations began in secret. Humanity would not be caught unprepared when the stars brought visitors once again. The Council ship that arrived was 3 times larger than the first one. It gleamed in the sunlight as it entered Earth orbit, broadcasting peaceful intentions on all frequencies. This time, the Council was not taking any chances. Grand Diplomat Ziller led the new delegation. Tall and elegant with silver skin that reflected light like polished metal, he was one of the most respected negotiators in the galaxy. His reputation for solving difficult disputes stretched back 2 centuries. "We come with sincere regrets," Ziller announced as he met with Earth's leaders. "The previous treaty contained standard terms that we now realize may be unsuitable for your unique civilization. We offer a new agreement crafted specifically for Earth." Dr. Diana Rodriguez, Earth's foremost xenolinguist, studied the new document carefully. After 3 days of analysis, she requested an urgent meeting with the Security Council. "The new treaty is much better on the surface," she explained, pointing to specific sections on her display. "They've removed the clauses about resource control and population management. But look here and here." The room fell silent as she highlighted passages buried deep within the complex legal language. "They're still restricting our military development. Any ship we build would require Council approval. Any weapon above a certain level would be prohibited. We would be essentially defenseless." Jack Ellis, recently promoted to Admiral, nodded grimly. "They're offering a nicer cage, but it's still a cage." After much debate, Earth's representatives met with Ziller and his delegation in the Grand Hall of the United Nations. The room was tense as Jack delivered Earth's decision. "Earth appreciates the Council's revised offer," he stated formally. "However, we cannot accept terms that limit our right to self-defense. We proposed further negotiations as equals." For just a moment, Zeller's diplomatic mask slipped. His silver face hardened, eyes narrowing to slits. "This is most disappointing," he said, his voice suddenly cold. "I must remind you that the Galactic Council has procedures for dealing with non-compliant civilizations. It would be regrettable if such measures became necessary." The threat hung in the air. Security personnel tensed, hands moving closer to weapons. Diana Rodriguez spoke up, her voice calm but firm. "Are you threatening Earth, Grand Diplomat Ziller?" The alien's composure returned instantly, merely stating a historical fact. "We have existed for thousands of years because we maintain order. Think carefully about your place in that order." Within an hour, the Council delegation had departed. Unknown to them, their entire exchange had been broadcast worldwide. A junior communications officer had accidentally left the feed running. As footage of Zeller's threats spread across the globe, something remarkable happened. Nations that had been arguing about how to handle alien contact suddenly found common ground. Old enemies opened diplomatic channels. Regional powers offered military cooperation. In a classified facility deep beneath the Rocky Mountains, scientist Alan Prescott led a team studying the technology Earth had gleaned from Council databases. "Their ships use a form of gravity manipulation," he explained to Admiral Ellis. "We've been working on similar concepts for decades, but their approach is different. I think we can improve on it." Ellis raised an eyebrow. "Improve on it?" "Yes, sir. Their technology hasn't significantly advanced in over 300 years. They've become complacent." Across the planet, factories were retooled for what the public was told was infrastructure modernization. Military training intensified. Research budgets multiplied overnight. On the surface, Earth maintained a peaceful stance, sending messages expressing hope for continued dialogue with the Council. Publicly, leaders spoke of friendship and cooperation among the stars. But in orbit, the first elements of Earth's defense system were quietly being assembled. Humanity had learned an important lesson. In the galaxy, only the strong could truly be independent, and Earth had no intention of being anything less. 1 year passed since Earth rejected the Second Treaty. The Galactic Council had gone quiet, but humanity had not been idle. Earth had changed in ways that would have been unimaginable before first contact. Strange ships began appearing at the edges of the solar system. They were small trading vessels from minor council races, each seeking to establish unofficial connections with Earth. The Jaxari, lizard-like merchants, were the first to openly defy council restrictions. "Your music alone is worth the risk," a Jaxari captain told the Earth trade representative as they exchanged goods on a space station orbiting Mars. "And these spices you call pepper and cinnamon, they will make us rich." Word spread through the galaxy that humans made unique goods and had unusual ideas. Soon, ships from a dozen non-council races arrived, eager to trade. The council responded swiftly. They declared sanctions against Earth and any civilization trading with the quarantine species. But the sanctions only made human goods more desirable on the black market. On Nexus, Ben Carter had been promoted to head of intelligence at the Earth Embassy. He noticed increased military movements in the sectors surrounding human space. "They're moving warships," he reported in an encrypted message to Admiral Ellis. "Class 3 battle cruisers, mostly. They're gathering at Proxima Station." Ellis took this information to the newly formed Earth Defense Alliance, a unified military command representing all nations. "The Council is preparing a show of force," he explained to the assembled leaders. Meanwhile, Colonel Olivia Grant stood on the bridge of the EDS Defiant, Earth's first true deep space military vessel. Built in secret using a combination of human innovation and reversed engineered alien technology, the Defiant was faster and more heavily armed than anything Earth had previously created. "Begin stealth protocols," Grant ordered as they approached Proxima Station. The ship's experimental cloaking system engaged, bending light around the hull. "Let's see what they're up to." What the Defiant discovered was alarming. 27 Council warships were gathered, running battle drills and loading weapons. The Defiant's sensors recorded everything, then slipped away undetected. Back on Earth, Alan Prescott's team had achieved a breakthrough. In a secure underground facility, he demonstrated a shield technology that outperformed anything in the Council database. "Their shields are static," Prescott explained as energy weapons bounced harmlessly off his prototype. "Ours adapt to the type of attack." They'd been using the same basic design for centuries. Admiral Ellis watched the demonstration with growing confidence. "How soon until we can deploy this to our fleet?" 3 months for the first units. 6 for full deployment." Ellis nodded. "Work faster. I don't think we have 6 months." He was right. A week later, an official council message arrived. It contained a simple ultimatum: sign the treaty or face a peacekeeping blockade of Earth. The Earth Defense Alliance met in emergency session. The Defiant's recording showed a force that outnumbered Earth's fleet 5-1. "We need more time," said the Prime Minister of India. "Our shipyards are still building. We're not ready for direct confrontation." "Time is what we need to buy," Ellis agreed. "I recommend we begin evacuation of key personnel and resources to the Artemis bases." The Artemis bases were secret colonies established beyond Council space, unknown to the galactic community. They were humanity's insurance policy. As Earth prepared for conflict, Ambassador Karen Bishop continued diplomatic efforts, requesting extensions and clarifications to delay the Council's deadline. Colonel Grant received new orders. The Defiant would lead a small scout fleet beyond known space, seeking potential allies among other species who resisted Council control. The clock was ticking. Soon, Council warships would surround Earth, demanding submission, and humanity would give its answer. The Council warships arrived exactly as they had promised. 100 vessels of various sizes formed a ring around the solar system, positioning themselves at key points to monitor all traffic. Earth was officially under blockade. From the observation deck of the International Space Station, Admiral Ellis watched as the alien ships took up their positions. Their hulls gleamed with a metallic blue sheen, weapon ports clearly visible along their sides. "They're staying just outside Mars orbit," reported his communications officer. "They've transmitted their demands. We have 48 hours to sign the treaty, or they'll move closer and begin stopping all space traffic. Ellis nodded calmly. Send my regards to the blockade commander. Tell him Ambassador Bishop will respond to their demands within the requested timeframe. On Earth, panic had not erupted as the Council might have expected. Years of preparation had readied humanity for this moment. Citizens went about their daily lives, trusting in the defense plans their unified governments had put in place. Ambassador Karen Bishop sat in her office at the United Nations, carefully crafting responses that would buy more time without directly refusing Council demands. Each hour was precious as Earth's fleet completed final preparations. Request clarification on Section 47B of the treaty, she instructed her staff. Ask for a definition of strategic resources and security exceptions. Be polite but thorough. The Council representatives grew increasingly frustrated with what they saw as delaying tactics. Meanwhile, Earth's defenses strengthened by the hour. In a surprising development, a small ship slipped through the blockade, requesting emergency landing at a secure facility in Australia. It carried representatives of the Loraxians, a physically small species known for their advanced sensor technology. They had been part of the Council for centuries. "We come to warn you," said their leader, a gray-skinned being named Heller. "The Council plans more than a simple blockade. They have authorized military action if you continue to resist." "Why would you risk helping us?" asked Samantha Wright, who had been assigned to interview the visitors. "Because we were once like you," Teller replied. "We rejected their first treaty. They responded by bombarding our southern continent. 3 million died. We signed the second treaty." This information was rushed to Admiral Ellis, confirming Earth's worst fears. Meanwhile, Captain Frank Miller had undertaken the most dangerous mission of the crisis. His ship, disguised as a damaged Jaxuri trader, had infiltrated the blockade to gather intelligence on Council fleet formations. "Their command ship has a weakness," Miller reported after his successful return. "Their shield configuration leaves a blind spot near the engine housing. All ships of that class have the same design flaw." This intelligence was immediately incorporated into Earth's battle plans. Operation Breaking Dawn, the counterattack against the blockade, was updated accordingly. Dr. Diana Rodriguez made another critical discovery while analyzing Council communications. They classified humans as dangerously unpredictable and potential extinction-level threats to galactic stability, she told the Defense Alliance. "This isn't just about resources or territory. They genuinely fear us." "Fear us? Why?" asked the president of Brazil. "We only recently developed space travel." According to these files, Rodriguez continued, "We're the only species in recorded history to develop technology without outside influence and then refuse Council guidance. That makes us unpredictable in their eyes. And dangerous." As the 48-hour deadline approached, Earth activated its secret weapon. The shield technology developed by Prescott's team was deployed not just on ships, but around key cities and facilities. If the Council decided to attack, Earth would not be defenseless. The Council issued its final treaty with a 72-hour deadline, threatening orbital bombardment of military installations if Earth refused to sign. What they didn't know was that humanity was ready to demonstrate just how dangerous they could be. As the 72-hour deadline approached its final hours, world leaders gathered in the underground command center beneath Geneva. The most important decision in human history lay before them. "The Council expects us to surrender," Admiral Ellis said, looking at each face around the table. "They believe their show of force will intimidate us into signing away our freedom." The room was silent as the Secretary General stood. "We have voted. Earth unanimously rejects the ultimatum. We activate the defense fleet immediately." Across the solar system, hidden installations powered up. Ships that had been concealed behind moons and within asteroid fields began to move. Earth's response was beginning. Samantha Wright's intelligence team worked through the night, compiling evidence gathered from Council databases. They focused on records of previous peacekeeping actions against non-compliant worlds. Send the data package to every known communication hub in the galaxy. Wright ordered. Every species should see how the Council treats those who stand up for themselves. The evidence spread like wildfire through galactic channels. Images of bombarded planets, records of forced relocations, and secret Council directives about managing troublesome species reached hundreds of worlds. Several mid-tier Council species, already uncomfortable with the blockade of Earth, publicly withdrew their support for military action. Captain Nickel Parker led a specially trained team on the most daring mission yet. Their target, a Council communications hub positioned at the edge of the blockade. Approach vector locked in, her pilot said as their stealth ship glided silently toward the unsuspecting station. They haven't detected us. Parker's team boarded the station, overwhelming the small security force with stunning speed. Within 20 minutes, they controlled the main communications array. "Channel secure," reported her communications officer. "We can broadcast to the entire blockade fleet and beyond." Parker nodded. "Send the message." Throughout Council space, on thousands of ships and stations, communication screens suddenly displayed Earth's response. It wasn't a surrender. It was a counterproposal titled Treaty of Sovereign Equals. Ambassador Bishop appeared on screens across the galaxy, her expression calm but determined. "The people of Earth extend this offer to all species of the galaxy. We propose a new kind of relationship based on mutual respect and true sovereignty. No species should dominate another. No civilization should surrender its right to self-determination." The Council's leadership was thrown into chaos. This was unprecedented. A blockaded world seizing the initiative and appealing directly to the galactic community. War Minister Kratek, a hardliner from the Vreen species, seized command of the blockade fleet. "This insult will not stand," he declared. "Begin limited strikes on Earth's orbital defenses. Show these humans the price of defiance." The first Council ships moved forward, weapons charging. But as they approached Earth orbit, sensors detected new energy signatures emerging from hidden positions. "Multiple ships appearing," reported a Council officer, alarm in his voice. They were not there before. Earth's defense fleet revealed itself, smaller than the Council force but utilizing technologies that had been pushed far beyond their original designs. The shield systems gleamed with a distinctive blue-green energy field that Council scans couldn't penetrate. Admiral Ellis stood on the bridge of the flagship EDS Defender. "All ships, defensive formation Alpha. Remember your training. Remember what we fight for." The first shots were fired by Council vessels, streaking across space toward Earth's defenders. But when they struck the human shields, something unexpected happened. The energy weapons didn't just dissipate. They were absorbed and redirected. "Return fire," Ellis ordered. "Target their command ship's engine housing as planned." The Battle of Earth had begun, and the galaxy watched in stunned silence as humanity demonstrated that it would not go quietly into subjugation. The battle above Earth lasted only 6 hours, but it changed the galaxy forever. Council commanders expected an easy victory against the primitive humans. They were wrong. Earth ships moved in formations the Council had never seen before. Instead of facing the enemy directly as all civilized species did, human vessels attacked from multiple angles. They focused fire on specific weaknesses, then vanished before counterattacks could land. "They're targeting our command ships," reported a Vreen officer as another Council cruiser went dark. "And they're using our own energy weapons against us." The human shield technology absorbed energy blasts, stored the power, and redirected it in devastating counterattacks. Council vessels that had relied on the same defensive systems for centuries found themselves suddenly vulnerable. Admiral Ellis directed the battle from the EDS Defender, coordinating strikes with cold precision. "Break their line at Sector 7, he ordered. "Force them to regroup." By the 6th hour, the Council blockade had been shattered. 7 of their largest vessels were disabled, and the rest retreated to regroup beyond Mars orbit. The cost had been high. Earth had lost 11 ships and thousands of lives. But they had won. News of humanity's victory spread across the galaxy at light speed. The supposedly invincible Council fleet had been defeated by a species that had only achieved space travel a century earlier. The impact was immediate. On a dozen worlds, populations that had lived under strict Council control for generations began to resist. The Loraxians were first, overthrowing their Council governors within days. Then the Jaxari followed, declaring independence from Council trade restrictions. The Galactic Council itself splintered as member species took sides. A new faction emerged, calling themselves the Reformists. Led by Councillor Threll of the Medusan Collective, they advocated for negotiation with Earth rather than continued conflict. "The humans have shown us that our way is not the only way," Threll announced in a historic council session. "Perhaps it is time we listened instead of demanded." Dr. Lisa Moore led a diplomatic mission to meet with the Reformists on neutral territory, a space station at the edge of the Andromeda sector. She brought with her Earth's vision for a new galactic order. "We do not seek to destroy the Council," she explained to the gathered representatives. "We seek to transform it into a true alliance of equals." Meanwhile, on Earth, Alan Prescott's team had completed their most ambitious project yet, a defense system that could protect the entire solar system from attack. Using a network of satellites that generated an interconnected shield grid, they could now prevent any Council ship from approaching Earth without permission. Admiral Ellis used this new protection to focus on building alliances. The ships that had defected from the Council needed organization. Working with the Loraxians and other rebellious species, he helped form the Independent Systems Alliance, a counterweight to the traditional Council. Council loyalists were not idle. War Minister Kratek, humiliated by the defeat at Earth, planned a desperate move. If the humans could not be defeated conventionally, perhaps they could be eliminated through deception. Kratek dispatched assassins to target Earth's diplomatic mission. As Dr. Moore presented Earth's proposal to the Reformist Council members, security alarms blared throughout the station. "Hostile forces have breached Level 3, announced the station's eye. All diplomats proceed to secure areas." Major Gray Howard and his security team moved quickly, surrounding the Earth delegates. "Stay together," he ordered as they hurried through the corridors toward the emergency shuttles. The assassination attempt failed, but it revealed how desperate the Council loyalists had become. They could no longer win through force or intimidation, so they had resorted to treachery. The galaxy was changing, with Earth at the center of the transformation. The old order was crumbling, and a new one was taking shape, one where freedom and sovereignty were not gifts to be granted, but rights to be protected. 3 years had passed since humanity's first contact with the Galactic Council. The galaxy was now divided between the traditional Council and the Independent Systems Alliance. Dozens of species had broken away from Council control to join the new alliance led by Earth. Admiral Jack Ellis stood on the observation deck of the massive space station orbiting Jupiter. It served as the headquarters for the alliance and showcased humanity's rapid technological advancement. "It's time," said Samantha Wright, now serving as Earth's chief intelligence officer. "The founding races have requested a final summit. They're ready to talk peace." Ellis nodded. After years of sporadic battles and growing rebellion, the remaining Council loyalists had seen their power continue to erode. They could no longer ignore the new reality. On Earth, Dr. Lisa Moore led the team drafting a new galactic charter. Representatives from over 50 species contributed ideas for a system that would respect the sovereignty of all worlds while still providing for mutual defense and cooperation. The key difference, Moore explained to the gathered delegates, is that membership is voluntary, and all members have equal voting rights regardless of their technological advancement. As preparations for the summit progressed, Captain Frank Miller made a shocking discovery. His science vessel had been exploring ancient ruins on a remote planet when they found records dating back to the Council's formation. "You need to see this," Miller told Admiral Ellis via secure channel. The Council founders were using a type of mental influence technology on other species. It's subtle, affecting decision-making centers in the brain, making other races more compliant. This explained why no species had rejected council treaties before humans. The mental influence had ensured obedience for thousands of years. Why didn't it work on us? Ellis asked. Human brain structure, Miller explained. We're slightly different from every other known species. We're naturally immune. This information was carefully shared with Alliance members. Many former Council races confirmed they had felt an unexplainable compulsion to agree with Council demands, despite internal doubts. The final summit was set to take place on Nexus, the traditional seat of the Galactic Council. It was a symbolic choice, the old power acknowledging the new reality. As ships from Earth and the Alliance approached Nexus, sensors detected unusual energy readings from the planet's surface. They're activating something, warned Colonel Olivia Grant from the bridge of her command ship. All vessels, raise shields. War Minister Kratek, making his final desperate move, had activated a forbidden weapon, a planet-based energy cannon capable of destroying starships in orbit. The Peace Summit had been a trap. All ships, evasive action. Ellis ordered as the first energy beam lashed out, destroying 2 Alliance vessels instantly. What followed was the largest space battle in galactic history. Alliance ships, led by Earth's fleet, engaged the remaining Council forces, while strike teams raced to the planet's surface to disable the weapon. Despite heavy casualties, Admiral Ellis led the fleet in a brilliant defensive pattern that allowed Major Howard and his Special Forces team to land near the Weapon Control Center. We're inside, Howard reported as his team fought through the last defenders. Beginning shutdown sequence. The battle ended when the weapon went silent. Council loyalists, seeing their last gambit fail, surrendered. 1 month later, representatives from 200 species gathered on Earth. In a ceremony broadcast throughout the galaxy, they signed the Terran Accords, a new framework for galactic cooperation. Today marks the end of domination and the beginning of true partnership, Admiral Ellis said as he addressed the assembly. No species will rule over another. No civilization will surrender its sovereignty. Together, we will build a galaxy where all can flourish in freedom. As the delegates rose in applause, Ellis thought about the journey that had brought them here. It had begun with a simple act, reading the fine print, and saying no to a bad deal. Sometimes it seemed the most revolutionary act was simply refusing to comply.